Welcome back to the Primitive Camping and Bushcraft podcast. My name is Chris Speir, and I'm going to be your guide to enjoying the great outdoors. So water is everywhere. Is what 70% of the world is covered in water, and a lot of it's not drinkable. But one of the things that you have to have with you is the ability to clean your water, to purify your water, to make your water drinkable. So today, that's what this is all about. We're going to talk about water, and we're still in the gear section of the book, Primitive Camping and Bushcraft, and we're going to be going over this book. We're on page 66 here. We're talking about water. We're talking about purifying water, and then this is going to go greater into detail later on in the book where we break it down and we really dive real deep into the water section. So this is part of the gear, how to select the right stuff for your backpack or for your gear bag whenever you're heading out into the woods. So as mentioned before we do a deep dive into water on page 100, let's explore some gear options that you can use to obtain clean drinking water. And I just recently returned from a 2-day overnight, there's 1 night, 2 days kayaking trip where we went 18 to 20 miles, something like that, down the river in one of the wilderness areas here. And it was a great trip. The only difference is that it wasn't in the fall or the spring to where it was real enjoyable because it was hot. I mean, let me tell you, it was the middle of August and it was hot. If you haven't seen that video, just head on over to YouTube and check that out. But it was a great kayaking trip. But during that trip, you're surrounded by all this creek water. And we're in South Mississippi, so we get the rest of the country's stuff that comes down all the way down here. So all the pollutants, all the chemicals, all the whatever, all the water down here is just like, it's sandy, it's gritty, it's nasty. And you're going to want a way to purify this water. You're going to want a way to make this water drinkable. And so that's what today's all about. I'm going to go over a bunch of different gear options here. I've got stuff laid out on the table. So for those of you that are actually watching the video, watching this podcast, you're going to be able to see the various options that I have. And for those of you that are listening, I will try with my deep Southern accent to explain my best, a very vivid description of each item. So without further ado, there's hundreds of ways to collect, filter, and purify your water. But it's very important to note that filtering and purifying are not the same process. People get confused on that, and they believe that, I just filtered my water and it's safe to drink. That's not the case. Filtering your water is not the same as purifying your water in order for you to drink it. And so filtering removes the debris and the contaminants, whereas purifying makes your water biologically safe to consume. All right, so let's break that down. Now, if you have a metal container, which we just spoke about in one of our previous episodes here, we talked about metal containers, how they are extremely important, how they should be in everyone's bag. Everyone should have a metal container when you head out into the woods, and a fire starting device. There is, I think I'm going to break it down and do like a minimum basics podcast, something to take with you when you go deer hunting, scouting, stuff like that, where you're going to be miles away or whatever. Some minimum basic minimalist kit that you can bring, but that's neither here nor there. That's future down the road. And I'm going to do a video on that as well. But what I'm saying is that I'm thinking that people don't really understand the difference between filtering and purification. Filtering, if you brought your metal container and you fill it up with water, you're going to want some kind of media, some kind of something, such as a shamag, a bandana, a handkerchief, a hanky, some kind of something, a sock. You can actually use a sock. I've seen that used before as well. But that's going to be kind of nasty. I don't want my water to taste like toe cheese. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it could probably add a little cheesy flavor to it. But the simplest way to filter your water is with an ordinary handkerchief, or shamag, a tactical military scarf. Now, once you filter your water, you put this scarf on there, you put this handkerchief on there, and you just fill it up with water. All you're getting out is the sand and debris. And I've done several videos on my social pages where I've even taken a filter from a Keurig coffee, one of those reusable filters. They have a very, very, very small screen, and they're perfect for getting out debris and sand and grit and grime and, tadpoles and all the extra protein that you don't really want in there. Although the tadpoles ain't going to really hurt. But they're easy. It's easy to pour the water in there, if you don't have something such as a shemagh. But I'm telling you right now, if you're heading out into the woods, you need to have some kind of handkerchief or shemagh or some kind of something to be able to filter your water. Now, when you're filtering it, once you did this, all you're doing is getting the grit, the grime, and some of the nasty out of the water. And you're making it to where it's like less gritty when you drink it. All right. Now, all water is going to have some degree of turbidity. When you go up north, the water is like a real bluish color. A lot of that is minerals that wash out of rocks and, the banks and stuff like that. That it's still going to have sand or grit in the water. When you come down here, you got tea-stained water where all the leaves from the trees die and they fall into the water and it just turns tea-stained, and it's from decomposing leaves. It is from decomposition. And so it's the same process whenever you put tea or coffee into a coffee pot and you add warm water to it, it tea stains the water and you get all the nutrients and the vitamins and minerals out of that water. So it's the same process, it's the same exact thing. But what we're doing is we're filtering this water out and we're getting the grit and the grime and the nasty out of the water. So, once you get that done, then it's time you could boil your water, or you can use some other apparatus to make your water safe to drink. And since we're talking about the gear section, let's go ahead and take this time now to talk about, some of the items that you can bring with you into your woods, your camping, your backcountry, your treks, your hiking treks or whatever. When you're out in the great outdoors, you're going to have one of these various types of items with you. And we'll talk about them. So right here, first up, we have the Life Straw variant. There's different name brands, different things. They all do the same thing. They filter your water. They have some kind of filter in there, whether it be carbon that absorbs some of the nasty taste from the decomposing leaves and animals and, stuff like that. Now, there will be some dead animals in the water, and flowing downstream, you will actually get some of that here in your water. So that's part of the reason why you have to make this drinkable. I mean, you have to render it safe to drink because, there's going to be dead animals. There's going to be bacteria and all that from those dead animals. There's going to be stuff in there that can make you sick. So that's one of the reasons why you do it. Now, these items right here, these little straw type filters, this is the water drop straw filter, and this is the Membrane Solutions straw filter. And these items, this one's got some water and it's dripping all over my table because I used it last. But these items right here are great for filtering large quantities of water on the go. These are perfect for having one in your pocket or in your side bag or something like that, your little satchel or haversack or whatever you want to call it. Those are going to be awesome to have on your person when you're heading out into the woods because you can just kneel down, drink straight out of the whatever and go for it. Now, I don't recommend drinking straight out of a mud puddle or a nasty creek or anything like that because the stuff in there will clog up the filters in here. And I have a story I'm going to tell you here shortly towards the end about that happening and how we remedied that situation. And I also covered that in the book to an extent. Now, these filters are great. Now, some of these filters, they hook up, they double. You know, you can use one as your little straw. You can carry it around in your pocket. You can bend down, you can drink out of it. Or you can also, on the fly, use it with a gravity filtration bag. Now, these bags right here, 6 ounces. What's this one? 6 liters. I'm sorry. So this is 1.5 gallons of water. You're able to process 1.5 gallons of dirty water. Now, you can fill this bag up. There's a hose that connects to it. Excuse me. Oh, Lord, help me. I got something going on in my throat. All right. So there's a hose that hooks up to it, and it filters down to a collection, some kind of collection bag. Or you could put this filter on the end and drink straight from the bag, save it, pinch it off, save it for later. But what I like to tend to do is bring a gallon to a gallon and a half bag with me, and then connect the filter to that and let it fill that bag up. That way I have an entire bag of cleaned water that is ready to drink, ready to go. So, you know, these things double as a personal straw where you can personally drink out of it. And then it also works as a gravity filtration system to where you can either put it in line on one of those camelbacks or whatever they call it, you know, those hydration bladders that you put in your backpack. And then you could put these in line to where you can drink dirty water straight from the bladder, and it be filtered through one of these filter systems while you're drinking it. And so it's like 100% real-time water filtration, and there's nothing wrong with that. And those things are great, and they really do a very good job. Now, we showed you the bladder here. So what that was a 1.5 gallon bag that you could just fill up. And with this bag, it kind of looks like a dry bag. For those of you that are not watching the video, this is a dry bag essentially with an attachment at the bottom to where you could put the there is a hose that clips in there, and it's got an O-ring on that hose to keep water from dripping out. And it's kind of like, it reminds me of the water hose that connects from the wall to your refrigerator for your drinking water to your refrigerator. And so, matter of fact, whenever I was trying to make one longer, that is the actual hose that I used. I went to Home Depot and I got the hose. I think I got 20 something feet of hose, and I hung this dude. The higher you hang this bag up, the faster your water is going to filtrate out of this bag. So I got one of those hoses and put it on there, and I made my own gravity filtration system. Now, moving right along, we have one of the very common Sawyer squeezes here. Now, this Sawyer is a great product. I think it does like 100,000 gallons. I'm pretty sure it does 100,000 gallons. But these, it comes with these little bags. You fill them up with your dirty water, and then you just put your filter system on there, and you can just roll it and drink it straight through and straight out of that bag. And that will remove any kind of debris, any sediment, any kind of everything. And it's also, I believe, has charcoal in there, which causes you to remove some of the funky taste. And I found that, you know, whenever anything charcoal touches the water, it makes the water taste almondy, like nutty, and like a slight nutty taste to it. And I'm not talking about me being a nut, you know. And so one of the other options that I like to use a lot, and you see this a lot in some of my videos, is the Grail GeoPress. Now, the Grails are amazing. I just did another item for another platform, and I don't know if y'all ever heard of Flip. Flip is where is where content creators come. They order their products, and then they make videos on the products, and they do a lot of UGC or user generated content, and they get paid commissions and stuff like that. So I started doing that, and they send you some of the products with like 30% off, stuff like that. So it's a pretty good little deal. But I got another Grail GeoPress right there ready to go in the package. So, but I've been using this Grail GeoPress for years, and let's see, 3 years now, I believe. I believe 3, maybe 4 years. I've been using these. At first, it would kind of put me off because it was just a drinking bottle. It looks kind of like a sports bottle, a plastic sports bottle. Now they do make them now where they're made out of titanium, to where in the event of the filter clogs up in these, and we're going to get to that filter clogging stuff here shortly. But if the filter clogs up or the filter slows down, they have the cup is actually made out of titanium, to where you could just go ahead and boil your water and make it drinkable, where you can render it safe right there. But the whole basis behind the Grail GeoPress is it has a filter on the bottom, and you fill this outer cup up with water, and you fill that dude up, and then you put the filter on in the can, you release this lid to where some air will come out, and then you just press, you push down. So anywhere between 8 and 25 seconds, something like that, you'll have 24 ounces, depending on the model you got. They got a 16.9 and they got a 24 ounce. But depending, how well your filter is 8 to 24 seconds, you're going to press down and you will have 100% clean drinking water anywhere in the world. I mean, you can use this anywhere. You can use it when you're traveling. You can use it in foreign countries, stuff like that. If you don't like drinking the tap water out of hotels, bring one of these dudes with you, and you can go ahead and fill the tap water in there, and it will make it like it's better than bottled water, and that's no lie. And my friend Dave and I went on a trip, a kayaking trip. I brought the bladder where we did the gravity feed, and I did that at night whenever we got to the camp to fill up a lot of water for us for the next day. But I actually used the Grail. I filled up. He had a liter bottle, and I had the another 48 ounce bottle, that a Nalgene bottle that I filled up, and I would use this Grail, and I would just fill his stuff up and then fill mine up and then fill the Grail up again. That way I had some reserves straight out of the creek. So, I mean, it wasn't exactly ice cold, but it was a lot cooler than, what, it was a lot cooler coming straight out of the creek. It wasn't like it was stagnant water. So, all right. So one of my favorite ways to filter water is the gravity feed system. Other than like what I said with the Grail, I love the Grail. I love all the filter systems, the life straws and stuff like that. Now, there is a system there. All these systems can fail, and all these systems will fail. You have to filter your water before you use one of these commercial water filters. If you do not, the grit, the grime, the nasty will clog these filters up. I mean, there's no doubt about it. They will get clogged up. So, this 6-liter reservoir bag that's filled with water from your source, and then it runs down this hose into the ceramic filter. Now, if you didn't filter the water going into the bag with a shemagh or a handkerchief or something of the sort, if you did not filter the grit and grime out, all that sediment is going to go into that filter, and it will clog that filter up. And you've seen, where sediment and stuff like that, let's put fine silt into a strainer. Eventually that strainer is going to clog up. And one way to show you this is cooking oil. You fry some fish, or, down here in the South, we fry a lot of foods, but let's say you fry some fish, or you fried something, and you put the cornmeal or the flour or the whatever batter you had on there, and you fry it, that stuff's going to come off. So before you recycle your grease, I'll reuse the grease whenever I fry stuff with it, and you will strain it to get all the sediment and all them drippings and stuff, all the cornmeal and all the other stuff that burned, that out, and just go back with regular grease, But as that sediment gets into that strainer, it will clog that strainer up. And it's the same concept with the water filter. The sediment will clog that filter up. So, true story. My brother and I, we loaded up, got our bags, loaded my hiking bag out, and we headed off into the great outdoors. And we walked about 5 or 6 miles in, set up a camp right next to the creek. And matter of fact, the same one that we just went kayaking on out in the Black Creek Wilderness. And we were practicing our survival skills where we only brought like a pound of beans and a little bit of dehydrated stuff. But the rest of the time we were going to eat off of the land. We was going to check traps of squirrels or, hunt some squirrels. And then we was going to catch some fish and then, just find some mushrooms, stuff like that and eat. Well, we get out there and we're on our second day, and all of the water is like we're camping next to this little beaver pond or this it's a little slough, and they had otter swimming in it, and they had crawfish all in it. We were collecting some crawfish to cook and everything, but the water was real black. The water was black, tea-stained black. It was clear. I don't know how to explain it, but you could not see deep because the water was black. It was very tea-stained. But what threw me off was seeing all the otters. There was tons of otters swimming in this. Well, that's what gets me is that's a perfect recipe for beaver fever right there, is getting you some giardia and by drinking water out of there that's not processed. We saw some alligators in there. Alligators are in any kind of waters like that here in South Mississippi. We saw one that he must have been 12 or 13 feet long. He was a big boy, and he was up on a log, and we did not scare him one bit. He didn't move. He didn't nothing, sitting there with his mouth open, just watching us. And they're always watching, always listening, and they see everything before you ever will. And that's why you don't bring dogs with you on hiking trips and camping trips like that, because the alligators down here, if you got a dog, they will run off with your dog. But anyway, we get out there and we were using our Sawyer. We had a Sawyer squeeze just like this one, the same exact model. And we got out there and we were filtering our water. The water filter clogged up 2 days into a 6 to 8 day trip. I can't remember if it was 6 or 8 by now. The water filter clogged up. Couldn't get another drop out. And I'm like, oh, Lord. And this was years ago. This is before we really started filtering with handkerchiefs and stuff like that. And, I remembered, I was like, what am I going to do? What are we going to do? I mean, we could boil the water. Yeah. But what are we going to do to get all this nasty out? Because boiled nasty water tastes like nasty water. It's a fact of life. And, I know a lot of people, my stuff is geared towards people getting into the woods for the first time, going out for the first time, or, not really used to it, but want to learn more. That's what my stuff is about. I'm not your 100% survivalist saying just drink the water. Although that's what inevitably is going to happen. You're going to get out there and you're going to start drinking the water. But anyway, this, our filter died and we had to come up with a way, but I remembered in one of the survival books to make a tripod water filter. And so I made this tripod water filter, and they're in every survival book ever made. I mean, every survival book, all the way from the Army Survival Handbook, all the way up to the SAS. And I even put them in mine, and mine ain't even really a survival book. It's more about camping, but I demonstrate how to make a water filter in here. So we decided to go ahead and make this filter. I had enough handkerchiefs with me. So my brother, he started scraping charcoal off of logs out of the fire. And I walked around that beaver pond till I found some sand. And then we just made the 3-tier survival water filter. And then I had some bowls, some stainless steel bowls to put underneath there to catch it. And these bowls, when we ran the water through the first time, it was like milk. It looked just like milk. It was white and milky. And I was like, that's disgusting. So we ran it back through. Next thing you know, as it started running, it came out crystal clear. Now, It's really a non-issue. But what we were doing was trying to make the water clean enough to where we could backwash the Sawyer. And so we were trying to filter it down enough to where we had clean water with no grit in it and no grime in it so we could backwash this thing. So what we ended up doing was boiling the water, made it safe to drink. Then we took some of that boiled water and backwashed this, and so much grime and grit came out of here. It was crazy. So the moral to the story is we ended up getting to use the Sawyer. It was slow, but we ended up getting to use it at the end of the trip. And we boiled and stored enough water to fill up 2 of those 1-gallon bags, so we had plenty of water. It's not like it was 900 degrees outside, in the middle of the summer. But anyway, moving right along with that, these are just gear options to throw in your bag. I recommend having a kit. I recommend having a bag or a separate kit bag inside your backpack that has your water stuff in it. And you're not going to use it, so it's going to stay in your bag till you get situated out in the woods, till you get your camp set up, or until you actually 100% have no other means to filter your water. So if you have one of these, then you can have a kit put together and put in your bag. But what I do recommend this 100%, is have some method for your water. Have a backup gear to filter bulk amounts of water for all your group, and then have a personal one on your person in case something happens to this one and something happens to that one. Always have more than one. There's this saying out there, probably everybody's heard, is 1 is none, 2 is 1, and 1 is none, and that is, have multiple ways, always have a backup, always have a way to actually filtrate your water and render it safe to drink while you're out in the field. And, it can happen anywhere. When I go camping, when I go hunting, I always have one of these with me. And it's not because I know I'm going to get lost or I think I'm going to get lost. It's sometimes you get thirsty and you run out of water and you don't have any other water to drink. So use this, and where I hunt, there's water. Where a lot of people hunt, there's water. You can find water. But there's some locations where you're not going to find water, but still have a water filter where you just in the event of, So granted, I'm in South Mississippi. Water is pretty plentiful here. And once you start heading out west, water becomes less plentiful. But, have a water filtration system with you in the event that you head out to the woods. So, but that's about it, Let me give you a quick tip. A collapsible water container will save space, but it will not have the durability of a regular metal vessel. So what I mean by that is a collapsible bag. And this little quick tip is the bags from Popeyes. A lot of these stores now, we're going to cover this later on in the water section, but a lot of these stores now, when you buy drinks, they sell 1-gallon drinks. Like down here, Popeyes sells 1-gallon sweet tea or lemonade in a specific bag. And these bags are perfect for collecting your water. Is perfect for, you can do dirty water or clean water, and I find that I use the Popeyes reusable bags. I took it home, washed it out, put some bleach in there, washed it, let it kill all the germs, poured it out, washed it out again. And those bags are perfect for my dirty water. And I'll fill up dirty water in those. And then that way I can filter the water before I pour it into a bag. And then I have another bag that actually attaches to this filter right here. And I'll let it run gravity feed down into that bag. So it's good stuff. All the way around, it's good stuff. So anyway, that's about it on water. You always want to have some way to filtrate your water. You want to start off with a shamag or a handkerchief, and then you want to have some kind of personal water filtration system with you while you're out in the woods. Now, ultimately, if you do not have one of these items listed here or that I showed here, a metal container. It always goes back to a metal container. Have a metal container with you. have it to where you can boil your water. You do not have to filter all the water out. Yeah, it's great. Let's filter out the grit and grime so that way when you bite down, you don't have that gritty taste, but you don't have to. You can drink it straight out. So always have a way to filtrate your water. All right, guys. So that's it for this one. And next time we're going to be talking about food, and we're still in the gear section. So we're going to be talking about food, where food equals calories. So, I hope that every one of you enjoyed this. And if you haven't had a chance, go ahead and pick up the book, Primitive Camping and Bushcraft. And right now it's on sale. And you can get it on my Shopify account right here on YouTube. If you're watching the video on YouTube, you can also do Facebook. You can go to Facebook and click on my shop, click on it there. And also go ahead and join the Facebook group, Primitive Camping and Bushcraft, as well as Speir Outdoors on YouTube. All right, so that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video or this podcast. Go ahead and rate and review it wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next video or the next episode. God bless you.